What up, good people? Listen, I wanted to come to you all about the same thing that everybody is talking about, which is DaNaia Jackson's interview on the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Um, when I saw that this interview was going to happen, it was a post on Twitter, and I was very excited that she has decided to come forward just because of the simple fact we already knew some time ago that Derrick Jackson was a fraud. Now, let me say this before I get into the interview. Um, I was familiar with the work of Derrick Jackson because he was everywhere. So any social media platform, you would see his reels pop up or quotes, like memes and things of that nature. And if you looked at like podcasts on relationships and anything that was similar to that, you would see his stuff, his posts or his videos pop up as well. And so that's how I became acquainted with like his work. Um, I want to say that was probably 2017, 2018. I'd never followed him. But like I said, I would see his posts and things like that. Um, I agree with a lot of the stuff that he said because what he was saying was, obviously totally different from how he was actually treating the woman he was with, and honestly, what he believed in for himself, which to me suggests some type of mental illness. Either that or he's just damn great at manipulating and believing his own lies. But whatever the case may be, for him to behave the way that he did to his wife and be talking about something completely opposite of that and speaking about against the type of man that he actually was, but making it seem like it was detached from him. Um, to me, it suggests some level of mental illness. We can call it narcissism. Many of his tactics and his methods in the way that he deals with people, life, and his loved ones are very narcissistic. So that's probably what it is. But beyond that, for him to detach himself from his subject matter, his career, his livelihood, and be someone completely different, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, that suggests narcissism. But to me, it also suggests uh, dissociative personality disorder. Something's wrong there. Um, anyway, let's move on, shall we? I was in a 2-year relationship with a narcissist. Checked off all the boxes of uh, NPD, narcissistic personality disorder. And so, with that experience, it is very easy for me to see those that have those traits. And I mean, see it up front in a very short interaction, or even, somebody telling me of a situation is very simple for me to see that and the traits that make up NPD. So whether they have it or not, or they actually have the traits such as gaslighting, manipulation, just con artist ways, is very easy for me to see it now because of my experience. Just 2 years of being in that relationship, and that was 2 years ago. I simply cannot imagine being with one of those for as long as DaNaia was with her husband. Their situation was, I think, 9, 10, I think between 10 and 15 years, something like that. They met in college, and she basically explained from the start that she was the smart, nerdy girl that did not get male attention and was all about her books. And he approached her and wanted to know more about her and asked her to tutor him. And she was very awkward on their first tutoring meeting. And he just pursued her until they got into a relationship. And so it's very clear that regardless of what his past is about, like his life, DaNaia talked a lot about like her life, the way she was raised and things like that, but we don't necessarily know about Derrick Jackson's past. I could be wrong. Like I said, I don't follow him. So maybe he has shared about his past, but I'm not familiar with it. But with that being said, he targeted her. He very much so targeted her. He saw that she was the quiet girl in the corner. He observed her and he went in for the kill. And she had no clue um, that him entering her life was literally sent as an agent from the enemy to try and destroy her. She made a comment in, I believe there was part one of the interview because there's two parts. Both parts are over an hour. But I believe it was part one of the interview. And she stated that she was in a space after having left him one of the, so I believe she only left him, well, she left him maybe 2 or 3 times throughout the relationship where she had left, but she was still like sexually active with him. But she did mention that uh the last time that she had left and came back, she was gone for 8 months. He continued to pursue her and fly out to where she had moved to, which was to her, out where her family was in Denver. And he would come there at least twice a month, constantly, be in contact with her or whatever to try to convince her to come back, which she did end up coming back. But she said when she came back and found out like all of this stuff or reliving all of these things again, she did say that she believed that it would have broken her had she not done the work during those 8 months to, have that intense counseling and like going through self-help and yoga and all of these different activities that she had partaken in to strengthen her. She said that she believed that she would have committed suicide because there had been attempts before. Now, I have never gone through attempts of suicide. I've never gone through straight, flat out feelings of that. I have, however, gone into feelings of depression where I did not want to get up. I didn't want to face what that day had to offer me when I was in that relationship. Um, time lapses, all different types of, I guess, um, symptoms of abuse, right? And so I empathize with her when she said that because, here he is really not trying to give her the space and time to be apart from him and grow from him and see her life outside of him. That's part of the con. If a narcissist is able to continue to keep you occupied with them and focusing on them and focusing on the relationship and not seeing anything outside of that, then you don't have a clear enough mind or enough time to be away from the dysfunction to recognize it for what it is: complete dysfunction, foolishness, and the need to get out of it. And so that was what he was trying to do, constantly crowd her space so that she did not have time to see outside of that. And so, but he wasn't able to do it enough to where she couldn't see herself without him. Like when she had gotten to this point where she had left him and she was gone for 8 months and she was with her family, even though he was coming up, flying from where they originally lived to where her parents were, where she went to, he was coming up, twice a month, sometime once a week. He wasn't able to be there every day. And so because of that, she was able to see herself outside of him and see a life outside of him. And I believe that is what allowed her to be able to release herself a little bit easier from his grasp than what she had done before. Couple things. I was with her through the whole interview in terms of her transparency, her owning her portion of what occurred in the relationship, even though to me, the ways that she reacted was totally justifiable. So I mean, it's great that she owned her portion, but at the end of the day, like any way that she reacted, even when she lashed out, what he did to her and what he did against her and his family, his children with her, and their household and their covenant, she didn't have to own any portion as far as I'm concerned. However, I thought that it was great that she did. That really shows spiritual maturity, growth, and that she got something out of it in terms of how to move forward in a a healthy manner versus him. He's still going around making excuses and believing that he was the victim in the situation and that she was supposed to, continue to stick around that foolishness and just continue to allow herself to be destroyed while he continued to puff himself up with his ego. And so I definitely stood with her when it came to that. I thought I could see that, wow, she has really gotten something out of this tragic situation in terms of growth. And that's a great thing. Until she got to the point of where she wanted to kind of twist around the scripture of Psalms and make it seem as if when she had cursed everyone that had an opinion about mostly Derrick Jackson, but some opinions about her, but mostly him and the way he treated her and how horrible he was as a guy, as a husband, as maybe not necessarily a father, but definitely a man that prides himself on being a relationship coach, and then turning around and treating his wife so horribly. When she got on the internet and made that video about cursing people with an opinion, their children and their lives and then on this interview, she was saying that, well, I was just quoting scripture, and no, honey, no. She, if you have to look at the context, and I have a master's in, divinity or whatever the case may be, and it's like, no, great, you have credentials, awesome. That what you said was out of upset against him, but because you were unable to flex that anger toward the person it belonged to, you projected it upon the people that had an opinion based on the private information that came out as public about what he had done to you. And so when he had her go on screen with the bonnet and he was squeezing her hand in a very like, you better stand as a united front with me so I don't look crazy out here and lose my career. That was all him. He was the one that was manipulating that situation. He was the one manipulating her. And so I had hoped that she would have taken accountability for that in terms of using scripture to curse the people that were empathizing with her and seeing him for the piece of trash he is. I really wished that she would have not came clean, because we saw exactly what it was, but that she would have been very honest about what she was feeling in that moment, which was the fact that she was upset at him, and instead of lashing out on him, she lashed out on the public that had something to say about it. Now, I didn't get completely through part 2. I want to say there was still about 30 minutes left in part 2. I stopped part 2 once I saw that she was trying to justify what she said against those that was keeping up with the story and saying things about Derrick Jackson, and possibly those that were saying things about like her appearance on that first video, and why would he have her coming out looking like that? And even as the interviewer stated, that there were some people's opinions that were like, well, you have a bonnet on your head and you're dressed in combat clothing, like, why would you think he wouldn't cheat on you? That's nonsense that people would even say something like that. But the bottom line is the person that put you out there like that, the person that allowed you to take the brunt of what his actions were and his wrongdoing was, and manipulate it in a way where he was no longer the focus of how poorly he was treating you and how bad of a husband he had been, and allowing the public eye and viewers to switch this on you to make it seem as if it was your fault. And he never made a video speaking up against, we were at home, we were relaxing. My wife takes care of the children. She's a housewife. You know what I mean? We just wanted to get on camera and, let you all know that we had talked about this, we had dealt with this. But to be saying negative things about my wife, she's a beautiful woman, I love her, I messed up. He didn't make any type of singular video like that. He allowed the public to just turn up and say whatever they felt, and he never spoke on her behalf, it was adding insult to injury. That he allowed her to be caught out there and alone with him cheating on her constantly, a habitual cheater, a habitual liar, not being there for the children, not being active with them, not being a good husband, um, and then turn around and only do this video for his image because he was, you know, dressed like he usually dresses, his little tight shirt to be able to show his muscles and, you know, fresh haircut and got the eyebrows laid and all that, and allowed her to just come out the room, you know, unprepared, underprepared for the video, so that whatever backlash was caught, it was against her, and the focus was no longer on him and his transgressions. All of that is on him. And so I really wish that she would have recognized that for what it was. But this is still very fresh, this situation. And after I can attest to, after 2 years of abuse in the relationship that I was in, I had to go all the way back to acknowledge, like, where is it that I made a left turn and did not come back on track to allow me to be or open me up, predispose me to be in the type of relationship that I was in. And so that was just 2 years. I cannot imagine what 10, 12, 15 years of being in this gaslighting, manipulative, con artist, you know, puffed up pride, belittling, you know, type of relationship would be, and how long it would take me to unlearn a lot of the ways that I had accepted in abuse. And so with that being said, I think that she is doing very well and progressing very quickly in a positive way, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, despite the fact that she had been in such a long, a decade or longer relationship with someone that constantly sought to tear her down. So good job, DaNaia, long story short. And I look forward to her glow up. Like, I look forward to a book from her. I look forward to her public speaking and helping women, you know, come out of their depression and anxiety and bad relationships, and you know, empowering women. I mean, I see like a whole career for her, and I know she talks about her like being shy and not someone that really wanted to be a part of the public eye. But I see that God really is taking her into a path of something way bigger than the platform that Derrick Jackson thought he built for himself, and a true one. This path and this possible new business and career venture for her would be outstanding, and it would be real. You know what I'm saying? Whatever growth that she was doing would be true and real, unlike him that created a whole persona that was nothing like who the hell he is in real life. So with that being said, it was a really interesting interview. I was able to relate to much of it. I think my knowledge of what my ex was doing while we were together didn't go as far as hers, because she actually would go, you know, looking through the phone and finding videos of him and other women and all of that. I never did any of those things. So although I found out that when I was with my ex at the time, like, he was cheating, I don't know how deep it went. I found out a few things that were very unsavory and ridiculous and put me at risk. But with that being said, like, I don't know how far and how deep it went, but I can imagine, just with the level of abuse and the disregarding of what our supposed commitment was to be with each other, that his went just as deep, you know, in terms of infidelity and, you know, just disregarding me 100%. But God definitely held me, kept me covered. I do not have a child by him, which is another thing that I know that with this situation with DaNaia, she's going to have to deal with him for years to come because they have children together. And so that's a whole nother road that she's going to have to face. I mean, I just really pray for her strength, and pray that she can continue to grow despite the fact that even though she has escaped the relationship, that she's probably still going to have some dealings with him because they have children together. And so I was so blessed that that was not my situation. I have a daughter, but it's not his child. And so, you know, with that being said, I don't have to deal with that. Like, when the ties were cut, excuse me, when the ties were cut, that was it. So there was nothing that was holding us together. You know what I'm saying? Like the end, never got to see you again. And there's no reason for you to even try to contact me. And even with that, I still was being pursued and bothered all the way up until just not even 6 months ago. And it's been 2 years since I've been out of that relationship. That, you know, he tried to reach out to me a few times around the holiday season. And so, you know, those type of people, they just cannot accept that it's over and that you are done playing their game. And so I do, for the sake of her and those children and her spiritual growth, and where she doesn't become stagnant, that she is able to find a uh, footing consistently where she is unbothered by him. And even if she isn't unbothered for the first however long, she can show him that she is. You know what I'm saying? Because narcissists feed off of that. They feed off of you being bothered and hurt and unable to move forward based off of their absence or what they're doing in their life. And so, like I said, I think she's doing really great thus far for it to be so fresh and for her to have been in that relationship for so many years. So definitely looking forward to her glow up. I wish her nothing but the best. And yeah, thank you for tuning in.